This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. We continue in Mishnah Berura, Daf Hashavua. Okay, stay tuned next week. We miss Monday. So, I'll keep you posted how we're going to do Monday. We'll see if it's Shayach. Let's see what happens. Let us continue in Siman Vav. We're in the middle of Sif Aleph. We are learning the Perush of the bracha of Asher Yatzar. You know what we're going to do, Rabbi Sai? We're going to do Monday today, right after. We're going to do a double session. I think it's a little bit shorter today, so brace yourselves, because otherwise we're going to miss Monday. Okay, so here we go. The Mechaber had a kasha. What's Ev Shar Liskayim Lamelafanecha Afilu Sha'achas? Mr. Berura said that's a kasha on the Mechaber L'Shitase who says Afilu Sha'achas. Because that's the gersa of the Rambam. Our minhag, the Mr. Berura says, is not to say the words Afilu Sha'achas. So, but the question the Mechaber has, what's Afilu Sha'achas? Either it means when a person is born, or it refers to a moment beyond the threshold. Okay. Now, the Mechaber now is explaining, we saw yesterday, what does it mean, roifei chol basar? Why is going to the bathroom a refuah? Because if the food would be allowed to waste away in your body, it would bring choili. And now umafli la'asois, and Hashem acts wondrously. Mibnei sha'adam doim elanoid malei ruach. What's the big wonder? What's the big pella? The big pella is a person is like a sack, is like a container full of spirit, ruach. And if a person would make in a container, a leather container of water or air, a small hole, the size of a needle, the air would leave. Like a balloon. We know what happens when you pop a balloon. It pops. So the umafli la'asois is as follows, that a person, even though he's full of ruach, the fact that a person has nikavim, it does not, the ruach still remains within inside a person. So I just thought of the following question, and I think the answer is going to be very good. That's pshat in Asher Yatzar Sadam B'chachma. We already said that. The Mechaber says, what does it mean, Asher Yatzar Sadam B'chachma? He quoted a Yesh Mefarshim, this is Rashi, that the guf is like a noid, molei ruach, and you're molei nekavim. And the Mechaber even says, come on, like I'm going to say later. Well, so why do we need both? So I think the answer is pashat. The chasima is me'ein the psicha. In other words, that's in general a principle in brachos, that it will sometimes begin and end with a common theme. Okay. V'oid yesh lefarish, and then the Mechaber says you could say further. This is from the Avodraham. Al shem sheboirer tuv hamachal. The body is able to select the good nutrients from the food, v'doich absolas, and excrete and push away the refuse. That's a pella. It's a pella. You know, do you have a little elf inside? He's saying, all right, I'll take that little thing of protein, and I'll take that carbohydrate, and that sugar, okay? I mean, who's doing that? Yeah, answer, it's a mamash pella. Yeah, you could be going about your business, and there's a selection process that's taking place. Says Ramah, Hagav v'oid yish lefar, shemafli lasais b'meh sheshoymer ruach adam b'kirboi v'koisher davar ruchani b'davar gashmi. Here's the pella. The pella is a person has a soul. The soul is spiritual. How do you connect and fuse a spiritual entity with a physical entity? How do you connect a neshama to a guf? That is a great pella. How does God do it? Through giving us good health, by allowing us to go to the Beis HaKisei. V'hakol hu al yedei shu roifei chol basar. All of this is done through someone, through the Rebbeinu Shalom, who heals all flesh. Ki az ha'adam b'kav habrios. Because when Hashem does that, man is in the pinnacle of health, with his soul guarded within him. So 3 perushim in mafli la'asais. Number 1, the ruach stays inside. Number 2, you're able to select what is good. Number 3, the fact that the soul is fused together with the body. Says the Mishnah Berura, davar ruchani uvakavano is kasav, and the Kisvei Ari he brings the neshama nehenis meruchanos hamachal va'aguf nene migashmias hamachal. This is something we spoke about a number of times in Parshas Eikev, that when a person eats food, there's a spiritual spark in the food. The soul is nourished from the spiritual spark. On the Arizal says this on the pasuk, Ki lo yal alechem levado yichye ha'adam ki al kol moitza pi Hashem yichye ha'adam. There is a moitza pi Hashem in the food. Umikoyach zeh kishurim zeh b'zeh yidei hamacha. Through food, the guf and the neshama are connected. A very brief diversion, but to explain the Mechaber. Rav Hutner has a very notable ma'amar, because as we're going to see, in the opinion of many Achronim, the bracha of Asher Yatzar Sa'adam is connected to the bracha of Elokai Neshama. Elokai Neshama does not begin with a Baruch. We're going to see that Tuesday, okay? The Mechaber has a different reason why Elokai Neshama does not start with Baruch, but the reason of many Achronim is it's a bracha smucha l'chaverta. And it's a very, what we'll call an odd couple, Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama. Asher Yatzar is about the physical body, the nekavim, the chalulim, excreting, and Elokai Neshama is about the purity of the soul. What an odd union of brachos. I mean, why would you combine these 2 brachos that are the very antithesis of each other? But they are connected with 2 words, umafli la'asois, which the Ramah just explained. God wondrously acts by fusing the body and the soul. Hence, the perfect connection between Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama is umafli la'asos, the great wonder that Hashem does by connecting the body to the soul. Now, where is the point of that connection? The Kayach HaDibur. The Kayach HaDibur is the point of connection, because man had a body, God instilled the soul, and then the pasuk says, "Vayi ha'adam lenefesh chaya," which Targum says, "L'ruach memalala." So that means the faculty of speech is really the interface and the connection between the body and the soul, and therefore the faculty of speech is mafli pele, and that's why speech is always referred to in the Rambam as hafla, or in the Chumash ishki yafli neder, and so forth. Pele is the combination of 2 opposite forces. Weiter, the Mechaber says in Sif Beis, Yesh noyagin lahamtin levarach antil sidayim ad boyam lebeis hakneses umesadrim oisoi im shar habrachos. There are those who wait from making on Antil Sidayim until they get to shul. In other words, they wash at home, but they don't make the bracha until they get to shul. Uvnei Sfarad lo noagu kein. It is not the minhag of Bnei Sfarad to do that. Meaning the Bnei Sfarad do not make the bracha separately from the Netila. Says the Mishnah Berura, Sivkatan Zayin Lahamtin, Kabbala me Rabbi Yehuda Hachasid. Here's a tradition from Rabbi Yehuda Hachasid. Hayoytze mi beisa knesses koidem sheyispalo yomer pasuk shema. You leave your house, you're going to shul. Before you pray, say the pasuk of Shema. Have in mind not to be yotzei the mitzvah. Elam ken yorish yavers man kriyishma, unless you're afraid this man will pass, and then I guess you should say the whole Shema. Vayin lekama b'soif Siman memvav mashu kasav mishabura sham. Fine. Now, some wait from making the bracha of Netilas Yadayim until they get to shul. Says in Mishnah Berura, "V'davkim hoilch miyad lebeis hakneses." This would only make sense if you're going to shul immediately. Avalim loy meid achar netil. If you're going to wash your hands, learn, and then go to shul and make the bracha, that doesn't make sense. V'kol sheken kishamafsik b'sicha b'teila. Certainly, if you're going to interrupt with idle conversation. V'achar zeh hoilch lebeis hakneses mevrach sham Netilas Yadayim kolayam lo yavet Shabbos. For sure, not good. You could only do this possibility. Namely, wash at home, make a bracha in shul. If you're going to wash at home, head straight to shul without any interruption or conversation. Because otherwise, yesh hefsek gadol bein natila bracha l'kamei. Al kain, oisam she'omrim tilim koydem al natil sidayim lo yafeim oisim to have hefsek gadol. So, well, I want to wash my hands, say tehillim, and then I'll make the bracha when I get to shul. It's not correct. Kasav halavush. The Lavush writes, Oisam she'omrim tehillim, those who say Psalms, Tov yoysa she'omru kodem atfila. If you say Psalms in the morning, say it before davening. Ayin shamatam. Look over there for the reason. The Dirshu quotes, because the Mizmayrim of Tehillim are called Zmiros, a lashon of lezamer. Lezamer, it cuts off the makachugim. And in the Shal Teshuvos Asoros Tshuva brings that's only if you're saying Tilim b'derech shavach v'hoida. But if you're saying it b'derech tefillah b'akasha, then dafka you should say it after davening. Okay, Rabbi Sai, that is today's Mishnah Berura.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.